The 1994 film, The Specialist, this one is a mixed bag for me. While I wouldn't call this movie a dumpster fire, it does have issues, and I would consider this one also one of the weaker movies that Sylvester Stallone has been in. So the story of this one is that it follows a man named Ray Quick, who is a specialist in making explosives for his targets. When a young woman named May Monroe contacts him and says that he needs to take out the people responsible for her parents' death, then he ends up helping her out with this assignment. And from there, it's a movie that had a lot of missed potential. The acting's not great, the action scenes are lackluster, and for the most part, the story is aimless. It doesn't have a clear motive or objective. Sure, there's the character May and her revenge plot, but other than that, that's the whole entire film. There's no interesting subplots, there's no interesting twists or turns, and overall, this whole film just feels generic. But ironically enough, I don't find this film one of the worst movies of the 1990s. And the reason being is because I've seen other films from that decade that are much worse than this one. When it comes down to it, while this one only has a few entertaining moments peppered throughout its 110-minute runtime, at least this film keeps me from being outright bored with it. I understand why a lot of people don't like this movie though. This story has a few plot holes, weak character development, and for the most part, the acting is terrible. I personally never hated this film though, and the reason being is because it is entertaining in some parts. I find it enjoyable despite the flaws it does have. Now, Sylvester Stallone, his acting is very vanilla, it's wooden. We don't know much about Ray. We do know that he's a specialist in explosives. He makes them for his targets. But then when he comes in contact with May, they talking to each other over the phone. I'm like, really? This is how the two characters interact with each other? To make matters even worse is that Sharon Stone, her acting is atrocious. May is not an interesting character. And there's a reason she won a Razzie Award for Worst Actress. Not only that, but the lack of chemistry between Sylvester Stallone and Sharon Stone is apparent. And both characters don't meet each other more than an hour in the film. And at that point, half the movie is already over. It would have been better if both of them met each other in the beginning of the movie, then you have the relationship progress from there. In this, it feels forced because I didn't buy their relationship at all, just because there wasn't any good character building between the both of them. Eric Roberts, his acting was okay playing Tomas, a character that wasn't really interesting to be honest. He's just a playboy. And then there's the late Rob Steiger. He actually was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor. I don't support that, and reason being is because he's supposed to be playing this over-the-top character. Is it in poor taste in terms of that character could have been written better? Absolutely, because that character, whose name is Joel, he had real potential to be the standout villain. But the real standout here is James Woods. His acting is great, actually. He's such a good actor here. And he actually stands out in several of the scenes. He's the best thing about this film. Because without his performance, then this movie probably would have been forgettable. This is not a film that's not great. It's considered one of the worst movies from the 1990s. But to me personally, I always thought it was all right. It was just missing that special key ingredient to really help it stand apart from the other action films of that decade. It could have been a great film, to be honest, but its wasted potential on the writing and more importantly, the story kept it back by a huge margin. I'm giving this film a 6 out of 10. Now, despite my enjoyment of this one, I do find it disappointing because it could have been something way better. This is the type of movie you could put on in the background when you're working on something else because honestly, this one isn't impressive compared to some of the other action movies that came out during that decade. And that's my review of The Specialist. Okay, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this movie. Alright, this is Slum Guy 172 saying peace out.